Welcome to the Marvels, Mysteries and Midlanders podcast. Prepare to take a dive into all things mythical, eerie and downright strange. Stick around. You might just enjoy yourself. I may pass out during this episode. I may physically, literally die during this episode.
Well, this isn't live. We can splice it together if you want to take a 5 minute in the middle.
Yeah. Guys, just need to...
Yeah.
It's not good.
They'll never even know. They'll never know.
Unless... Yeah, they'll know. They always know, man. These internet super sleuths are just too good. They're just too good, guys. But how are we doing? How are you both doing? Julian, are you feeling hungover today after your mad evening?
Me? No, I'm actually alright.
Good.
The only thing is my arm still hurts from the old firmware update, but
Are you magnetic now?
You got the nanobots too.
Yeah, I'm good to go now. I'm full of
nanobots,
although Bill Gates will not leave me alone.
I'm proper looking forward to Windows 11.
It's good. I'm picking up some radio signals though, which is annoying me a bit. But other than that,
just there going, your ear going. Oh, is that?
Yeah, I just walk around. I'm like
Radio 1.
Fucking yeah. Oh, classic FM. Not now. Come on.
But anyway, yes. Hello everyone, and welcome to Marvels, Mysteries and Midlanders. How are you doing? Hope you're good. Thank you for tuning in. This week we're going back into the veins of folklore, which we like to do. This is a British tale, an English tale in the home county of County Durham. Familiar with County Durham, gents? Are you familiar with that?
I've been there, I think, twice in my life.
Fair play. I've never been there. Lewis, familiar with County Durham?
No, not really. I should be.
Why? Why should you be? No offence to obviously.
Because I feel like my geography knowledge of the country should be better than it is.
Well,
As long as you can point to it on a map, that's...
Yeah, well, I don't think I could.
It's to the right.
It's like...
Yeah, no.
Is it?
Northeast.
I'm not
Northeast,
totally sure.
northeast.
It's like...
Yeah.
It's quite
Pretty
coastal,
sure it's northeast. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
northeast, like Newcastle area.
Yeah.
It's the Geordie zone. But yeah, today we are looking at, drumroll please, the Lambton Worm. Dun dun.
Ooh.
Lambton Worm. So, okay, so I obviously like to get your opinions on it. So just from the title, what do you think it is? Especially you, Lewis.
Worm.
Worm. God, he's good.
That glows.
Why glowing?
Because Lambton.
Lamb. It's actually lamb, as in Lambton. Like, bah. But,
Does it
okay,
eat
yeah.
sheep?
Yeah, it bars then, yeah.
It actually does eat sheep at some point in this tale, so I guess you're right there.
Yeah, I'm basically picturing just some big, like, some massive
worm.
white phallic worm. But you know, like, those sort of, those ones in the movies where they've got, like, the mouth, and the mouth just a big circle with, like row upon rows upon rows upon rows upon rows upon rows of teeth.
Like Dune.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm picturing, but this thing is just, it's kind of big enough to eat a sheep, but, big enough small enough that Steve Irwin would probably wrestle it.
Fair. Or it's an Alaskan bullworm! It could be one of them as well. Are you familiar with an Alaskan bullworm? SpongeBob SquarePants reference, guys.
Wow.
God, I'm so alone in my references.
I'm sorry, I never had Nickelodeon as a young wee lad.
Mate, you should know that all near 30-somethings still watch SpongeBob SquarePants on a daily basis. But yeah, so we are at the Clifton Worm, and this is your classic story of man versus dragon. Big trouble in Little England. But, did I just say dragon? Yes, I did. But more accurately, a serpent. But wait, it's a worm. That's right. A worm, spelt W-Y-R-M. So, worm. Worm? Familiar, yeah?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. So, a worm...
How does Google say to pronounce that?
I haven't actually asked Google because I've just based it on...
It is worm.
It's pretty sure it is worm.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look out, mate, there's a worm. Yeah, it was a species of legless and wingless dragon and were equally as dangerous as their airborne kin. However, this isn't the only worm to have caused trouble back in the day. There's also the Laidley worm and the Sockerburn worm, to name two. But today, we're not talking about those guys. We're talking about the Lambton Worm. Here we go. So, let me set the scene for you. Story takes place in the early 13th century in County Durham, Sunderland, should I say, northeast England. See, we were right, guys. One particular source states it's based in Washington as well, which is an area which is directly between the two. So we're just going to roll with that. It's directly between County Durham and Sunderland, okay? That's what we're going for. There is a few geographical kind of like landmarks that come into it as well later. So meet our main protagonist for the story. Meet John Lambton, heir of the Lambton estate and a young ruffian, kicking about town and not following the rules, presumably. He was a member of the local squirearchy, which I thought was a great term.
Yeah.
It's squirearchy. It's a respectable and landowning, but lacking any great wealth or prominence. Lewis, would you consider yourself part of the squirearchy? You know, you're a landowner.
What was it? Landowner?
It's respectable and landowning, but lacking any great wealth or prominence.
I think I might have great prominence.
That's what I was going to say. You're just insulting Lewis to his face. This is...
Does it to me?
Rude.
The host is allowed to absolutely upset his co-host if he must.
I do like squirearchy, though.
Yeah, I would, imagine going, I'm Lewis Carter. I'm a part of the local squirearchy. Nice to meet you. You know what I mean?
But surely, as long as you own some form of land, you can make that claim.
Well, I can't, so...
Like, I got gifted, like, a 5 square foot of land in Scotland somewhere.
Oh.
And
what?
so I can, like, legally change my title to Lord. But does that mean I can now also claim to be part of the squirearchy?
Lord of this tiny patch of land. I mean, I guess... All right, I just need to quickly jump into that. How did you end up owning a small bit of Scotland?
It was a birthday gift from my sister. She just basically... Because have you not seen this? You can buy, like, patches of land. There's, like, basically just, like, a massive, like, highland or... There's areas in, like, the Peak District, Scotland. They're all around the country, but they're just basically big, open plains. And you can buy, like, a 5 square foot or, like, smaller. Sometimes it's, like, 3 square foot. Sometimes it's, like, 1 square foot. But if you buy that patch of land, owning that is enough to be able to legally change your title to Lord. Like, on all of your documents.
Does that mean my father-in-law could become Lord of Mars? Because he owns a bit of patch of... allegedly.
I don't know, because that obviously is outside of the UK. So
yeah, my father-in-law is a Martian lord, so I'm better than you. Right on, so let's get into the story. One bright and sunny day, John was feeling defiant. He thought about going to church, but instead took one... What?
Who's John again?
John Lambton is the member of the local squirearchy, the young son of the local lord. He's the heir to the Lambton estate. How did you forget that quickly?
Wait, who are we talking about?
You know what, guys? You can just go away. I'll just read the story to myself. We're talking about John Lambton, okay? The heir of the Lambton estate, okay? One bright and sunny day, he was feeling defiant. He thought about going to church, but instead took one look at the church and said, "Nah, I'm good, mate." Instead, he took a little walk down to the River Wear to do nothing else but some big trout fishing. I did actually look into what fish reside in the River Wear, and there is a lot of trout. Though it's possible it's changed since the 13th century, but whatever. We're not here to talk about fish.
Fished them to oblivion.
Yeah, fished them. Yes, exactly, mate. So in many versions of the story, while walking to the river or setting up his fishing equipment, John receives a warning from an old man or an old witch, depending on how the story's told. And that no good can come from intentionally missing church that day. Which is, I know it's a constantly appearing theme in a lot of folk tales. It's like, oh, if you miss church, you're going to suffer ungodly consequences if you don't go to church. It's just a way of the church keeping you under the cosh, isn't it, mate? Yeah, trying to keep you religious.
Well, that's the whole, like, you go to hell. So I don't know why they need to sort of bring ruin upon you on earth as well, because you're already going to suffer for eternity.
We're all going to hell anyway. Might as well just accept that now.
Nah, be fine.
Yeah, God's changed the rules, mate. God's changed the rules. Yeah. So it so happens that John Lambton hadn't been able to catch a single fish until the church service actually concluded. So he could have gone to church anyway, which is just hilarious. But when he did finally catch something, it wasn't a trout by a long shot. What he fished out from the river, it was a small eel or lamprey-like creature with a salamander-like head bearing 9 holes on each side of its body. So depending on the rendition of the story, the creature is no bigger than a thumb or about 3 feet long. In some versions it has legs, while in others it's said to be more closely resembling a serpent, which I personally like. I prefer the serpent interpretation.
What fucking animal has a 3-foot thumb?
What?
You said a 3-foot thumb.
The creature... No, one is... the creature was no bigger than a thumb, or about 3 feet long. Not a 3-foot thumb.
What are you
talking about?
It was no bigger than a thumb or 3 feet long. Like, it's one or the other, or it's a 3-foot thumb.
Separate interpretations. In one interpretation, it was the creature's the size of a thumb. In the other, it was 3 feet long. Wasn't a 3-foot long thumb?
A baby one. It's a thumb size.
Yeah, we'll go. Yeah.
Oh,
Jesus Christ!
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll leave that there. But I was thinking, I was looking at my thumb. I was like, 3 foot. That's...
Imagine the guy fishing it out of the lake, going, "Oh, look at this! Look at this Lambton Worm lake. It's got like a 3-foot thumb. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It'd be."
I was thinking old John's got a 3-foot thumb, which is even weirder.
And I bet I've got a 3-foot thumb here, lass. Do you want to see it? Yeah, it'd be something like that. Oh man. Yeah. Okay. So John has fit. Do you want me to do the entire episode in that accent? Yeah. At this point, the old wise person returns. John, feeling like a fishing prodigy, proudly proclaims that he has caught the devil himself. No. So basically, at this point, the old wise person returns. We're going to refer to it as from now on. John, feeling like a fishing prodigy, proudly proclaims that he has caught the devil himself and decides to dispose of this catch by chucking it down a nearby well. This guy, he is
Why didn't you eat it?
Why just fish it out and just munch on it there and then?
Cook it. And
it's the
seems like a waste.
3-foot thumb beast. You know.
Hang on, it might be.
I'm trying to work out this.
Size.
There's exactly, so much like.
He'd eat that quick, wouldn't he? Be gone.
There's just so many questions that are coming out of this story. The further we get into it.
Okay, well, we'll keep going. The only questions you got, I'll do my best to answer them for you. How about that? Deal?
Yeah, I feel like I should have like a notepad and be like writing down my questions as we go.
Please do.
Quiz you at the end.
I'm here to promote discussion. So obviously chucking it down the well was a very smart move. I promise it was a really, really good move.
Isn't that where everyone gets their drinking water from?
Definitely a smart move. Maybe, Julian, maybe. So the old wise person then issues further warnings about the beast's nature, saying that the longer it lives, the more lives it will claim. And with that foreboding message, the old wise person departs. I mean, maybe help get the creature now to avoid this, curse or whatever from happening, but they just left instead. Just going to leave? All right, then.
Hang on a minute.
See you later.
So did he tell him to put it... Did he tell John to put it down the well?
No, the old wise person was like, mate, you got to kill it. You got to kill it, mate. You got to go to church and you got to kill the creature. And John was like, I don't think, see you later. And then he just walked off.
But he followed him. I've watched him put it in the
well. Oh, this is so...
That is correct. That is correct. Definitely. Yeah. Right then. Oh, man. So at this point, John goes and gets on with his life. He forgets about the weird, freaky creature, and he goes and joins the Crusades. His reasoning for this was his penance to seek forgiveness for his rebellious early years. But in case you aren't familiar with what the Crusades are, which is fair enough, the Crusades were a series of religious wars sanctioned by the Western European Christians and the Latin Church in the medieval period. The basic aim was to reclaim the Holy Land from Islamic rule, which is always fun to look into. So yeah, that's what a crusade is, mate. Just remember that. So as time passed by... Yeah. As time passed by, the worm grew and festered in the bowels of the village. And guess what, Junan? It started to poison the water supply. Dun dun.
Oh, what a shock. Who could have seen this coming?
Because it didn't toilet in there.
Yeah, just mad worm
He's picked up something he thinks is the devil himself, so he puts it in the water supply. Like, John, mate, come on. There's a series of decisions and you've chosen wrong every time.
The Lambton Worm is a poisonous serpent, so it naturally exudes like a poisonous residue. But it poisoned the water supply and it also poisoned the land around the well. Wherever it went, it poisoned it. So at this point, villagers started to notice livestock going missing, farmsteads being absolutely destroyed, and wooded areas being smacked down to nothing. It was described like a bolt of lightning had torn through the area. So quite quickly, the locals discovered that the worm, now fully grown, has emerged from the well and is now coiled around a local hill.
How big is it now, then?
So in various interpretations, he can be like, some say up to 12 foot long, which isn't that long, and others say about 30 feet to 50 feet.
30-foot thumb.
30-foot thumb to 50-foot thumb.
Oh my god.
And it was coiled around a hill.
Yeah.
It's not a very big hill, then.
Okay, maybe it's bigger. You know what? I don't have the exact.
A hill with a 12-foot circumference.
Okay. Listen.
When did he do all this growing anyway? Because he
It was
done it in
just-
the well, sure.
He did. He just
eating
fested
the
in the well. He just fested in the
livestock.
well.
Did he eat
Maybe it was coming
in the
out
well?
for like.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Maybe it's one of those things where it spent years hibernating and then woke up one day bigger and hungrier than ever before and just started wreaking havoc.
Well, if it's the devil himself, like
No, that's what John said.
John
said
claims,
that.
but if
The
John
devil
was
himself.
correct,
Yeah.
then surely there's obviously some magic.
So far, no offense, but
Holy-
John. I don't think John is right because he hasn't been right about anything so far. He was wrong about chucking it down a well. He was wrong about
He was
fishing.
wrong about
He should have gone to
missing
What
church.
did the
church,
wise
apparently.
man say?
The wise man was like, "Yeah, John, you should have gone to church. You should have." It sounds more scales. Yeah, basically, he went. he said you should have gone to church, and you should have not gone fishing, and you should have killed the thing you found immediately.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
I mean, this is my problem, right? John has found something, claims it is the devil, with
Mm-hmm.
no indication or evidence. He's basically just pulled a eel out of the river,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then he's claimed it was the devil. So rather than
devil
do
himself.
anything about it, he just lobbed it down a well. And he was like, right, okay, I've defeated the devil.
Yeah.
And then he goes off and joins the Crusades.
Yeah. Walks up.
Timeline here is like John needs to have a serious think about the kind of man he's going to become.
John's
because
gone to the Crusades to figure himself out. He's gone soul searching whilst murdering.
He's killed
know.
the devil. Why doesn't he like?
No, he
or
didn't,
at least
mate.
he probably thinks he's killed the
He tossed
devil.
the devil down the well. That's not how you kill someone. You put the body
No,
in the
but
well after you've killed them. Right?
I don't know. Like, have you seen any sort of horror-based film with wells? Because
I have actually, yeah.
yeah, they're always the same.
Yeah. Something always
The
ends
ring.
up coming out the well.
Color out of space.
Yeah. So there has space. But yeah,
The
so
Nick Cage adaptation. Yeah.
yeah, oh, don't talk to me about that. In some versions, the hill. Yeah, whatever, man. In some versions, the hill is. You know what? Actually, I can't get away with that. It was a good film, but Nick Cage just ruined it doing his weird impression things. I'm sorry, I like Nicolas
That's
Cage.
like
but
the
he just
beauty of
ruined the
Nick
film.
Cage.
Oh.
Is this like, are you?
It just didn't work for H.P. Lovecraft, okay? Okay. In some versions, the hill that the worm wrapped itself around is Penshaw Hill, on which the Penshaw Monument now stands. So I don't know if either of you are familiar with the Penshaw Monument, but it's actually a Greek 70-foot tall replica of the Temple of Hephaestus in Athens. It's like
Okay.
a little piece of mythical Greece, ancient Greece, just sitting on a hill. It's still there
Very
today.
nice.
It's very cool looking. So yeah, it probably explains why the worm's actually a bit bigger than 12 feet. But you know what? Shut up. I'm sick of you both. I'm done with you. Other locals credit the nearby Worm Hill in Fatfield, which has no monument on the hill. It is literally just a hill, with a possible cool legend, obviously. But Worm Hill and Penshaw Hill are actually about 45-minute walks apart. So it's easy to see why there's conflicting opinions on the matter. I mean, obviously, the cooler looking hill is the one with the Greek monument on top of it, but you know. Either way, the worm was so huge that it could coil itself around the hill 7 times over, and that's where it lingered. So yeah, not 12 foot, all right? Shut up. It is said that the marks of the worm can still be seen on Worm Hill to this day as well. So
Is
it's
it
up
called
to you what you
Worm
want to
Hill?
do. It's called Worm Hill.
Oh, that's wicked.
How is worm spelled? Is it
It's spelt like earthworm, not weem. It's just a hill full of worms, mate.
I don't understand what's so funny about this, but
Lewis has got a thing for worms, mate. He loves the worm.
I was like, I'm just saying, like, if I missed something, this is great.
Yeah. I think Lewis just finds the fact that a dragon/serpent's being called a worm is quite hilarious. He's so immature, Lewis.
So you got worms, you got dragons, you got wyverns. There's a whole subspecies tree under
Exactly. Yeah, Lewis.
big reptiles.
I'm hoping you've been doing your big reptile research, because if you don't, mate, why are you even here?
Hey, I tell you what, I can tell you the difference between a wyvern and a dragon. And
Wyvern's got no front legs, right? They've just got wings.
I think that, yeah. Dragon's got 4 legs, wyvern's got 2 legs and wing hand things.
Guys, are we nerds? It sounds like we're nerds.
I mean, I probably am.
Cool. I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
I was in denial for a long time. But.
Yeah, I embrace it now. That's who I am. So the worm terrorized the local villages, moving through each one, spreading its poison and corrupting the land. Which was, and it's all John's fault. It's all John's fault. The worm ate any livestock that got in its way and abducted and ate small children as well. Real nice. Once its reign of terror had reached critical mass, the worm then headed towards Lambton Castle, where the Lord Lambton, father of John, who was also apparently quite senile. I thought, about this squirearchy business. It's like landowning, but, not having any money. He still lives in a castle. What's all that about?
Yeah, well, I mean,
so
that's
humble.
The thing, you don't need real money. Like,
it's just so humble,
Like, class and money. And were never sort of super related in like any of British history. Yeah. Like if you're upper class, if you're part of the aristocracy, you can go broke. You're still part of the aristocracy.
I see. But it sounds back then you could just walk into a building and be like, "I live here now," and then that's it. no one can do anything about it.
Stab the current owner.
Yeah, stab the owner. That's how the law of the land works, isn't it? But yeah,
basically.
So yeah. So John Lambton's father, Lord Lambton, he lived in this castle. And he somehow managed to sedate the creature in what becomes a daily ritual. The ritual consisted of all remaining cows to be milked daily and for it to be left in the castle courtyard for the serpent to devour.
So, just get
Wait, so they milk the
cow? All they have to
cow?
do is leave some milk out for him every night.
Or are they milking the cow and then giving the cow to the worm?
No, they're giving the milk to the worm. But obviously, cows probably can't produce that amount of milk at such a fast rate. So eventually, the poor cows probably would have just been fed to the bloody thing instead.
It should have come around at 21st century capitalism. Yeah. We can fly gallons upon gallons out in seconds.
But the thing is, Lewis, I think what you were saying about how he figured out to give it milk, I don't know how he figured it out. Maybe like the creature was intimidating him and he had a glass of milk and he went, "Oh!" and threw it over the creature and the creature was like, He was like,
he's senile, isn't he? They just, people who are senile in historical senses tended to just know things.
Yeah. The mad are the wisest, That's what they say, isn't it? I don't know if it's what they say, but yeah. So at this point, they were obviously trying to sate the serpent with a high dairy diet. But at the same time, a number of brave villagers, some trained warriors, some other simple yeomen, came forward to try and kill the beast, but to no avail, as they were quickly dispatched in all manner of horrifying ways. Whenever a piece of the worm was cut off, it simply reattached to the missing piece. It regenerated to the piece if it was close enough to it. So even knights of high renown also attempted to slay the beast, but none of them survived, meeting the same fate as those who come before. They were all presumably eaten, crushed, melted by venom, or all of the above.
Why were the knights not on the Crusades?
Why don't they just leave it?
Because it's a monster, mate. Think about how much cashola and how many ladies you get if you turn around and go, "Mate, I slayed that beast, like."
I killed a worm. Line up, ladies.
I killed the worm,
But only people from the immediate area would know what that means. Anyone else would be like, "A worm? Wow, that's impressive."
No, a worm. I killed a worm. Yeah. Whenever the worm was annoyed or defensive, the worm would find any large tree, uproot it by coiling its tail around it, and then just start slamming it all over the place in a big temper tantrum. Just slamming the tree like some sort of club. Just destroying everything.
It sounds like it's got a fucking attitude problem.
It has got an attitude problem, I agree. So, obviously this worm's causing havoc, and guess what? A whole 7 years pass. Whole 7 years of this worm just wreaking havoc, poisoning the land.
It's not a podcast. It's a way of life.
Seriously, though, it's just a podcast.
That was ghastly.
And finally, John Lambton returns from the Crusades to find his father's estate extremely impoverished and the local villages decimated. And he's like, oh, I'm just going to head back to the Crusades, like, man. It's shit here, isn't it? Yeah, so,
Just forget about that. Go back.
So he decides he has no other choice but to avenge his name and the land. But first, he seeks guidance from the old wise person once again, near Durham. So far, what are your thoughts on this tale of man versus beast?
John sounds like a piece of work. And also not the sharpest tool in the shed.
He's come back from the Crusades now, mate. He's a changed man.
But even before that, like, he's just making a lot of questionable decisions. And now he's come back, and I'm assuming he's, obviously vowing he's going to kill the worm. But now this thing's like, what was he saying, like 70 foot or something? So
12 foot, June. 12 foot.
But it's gone from 12 foot to wrapping itself around a hill with a monument on it.
I don't know how big it is. I know it's massive. 12 foot was a massive understatement. Okay, I was
70
wrong.
foot source.
I was wrong.
It's folklore.
70 foot source. It's folklore. Cool. Yeah. Move on.
Right.
That's great. We can use that excuse for any story now. Yeah. Oh, apparently it was 100 feet tall. You know how I know that? Because it's folklore. Do one.
How? Yeah. I mean, isn't this just any form of storytelling or like passing down a legend? It just progressively gets more and more ridiculous.
I can't wait for someone to listen to this episode and go, I'm going to tell my kids the story. The worm was 12 feet, or was it 70 feet?
This is
12.
the thing. But this is the problem, right? It's like 700 years and they've got to 12 feet. Like, how small was this worm to begin with?
Okay, we're burying that shit now, okay? I said 12 feet. It wasn't in any research. I just made up on the spot. It was a panic. Because, I just had the worm was big. That's all I had, okay? I had the worm was big. And then it was like, it wrapped itself around the hill. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, it's obviously not 12 foot because that's tiny. So, yeah. Okay. Well done, June. It's 70 foot long worm, okay? Well done. I'm proud of you. God.
Oh, my God.
I just like your impression of our listeners retelling the story.
Okay, children.
Yeah, because all of our listeners are apparently like 80 years old. I mean, if there is any 80-year-old listeners out there, no hate to you at all. It's just, thank you so much for listening to us. Okay, so are you ready, guys? Are you ready?
I might be. This also, I might just.
Okay.
John's doing my head in a bit. I'll be honest.
Okay. So the old wise person. What?
Can you do it in the listener's voice?
What the?
Please don't do that.
The old wise person hardens John to...
No, I'm not doing it. You do it, Lewis. Okay. So the old wise person hardens John's resolve and determination to kill the beast by reminding him that the worm's reign of terror is essentially his fault and his responsibility. And hey, what's one more battle for penance? You know what I mean?
Well, it is his fault. They're not wrong.
It is his fault.
He threw it down a well like a muppet.
He should have snapped that beast's neck when he had it. He should have snapped the thumb when he had the chance.
Yeah, he should have got out his 3-foot thumb and just
coiled it around the worm like
jabbed it
to the hill. He snapped it. Yeah, man, 3-foot thumb. That is a terrifying thought. Okay, so if there was a time for an incredible medieval training montage, it was now. He's at the medieval gym, lifting hay bales,
Karate Kid style.
Yeah, exactly. The wise old person told him to cover his armor in spearheads and to fight the worm in the River Wear. So, just to quickly, describe it, imagine just your general suit of armor, medieval suit of armor, but it's just covered in spikes. So, something very Dark Soulsy about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like very a reverse cool. Iron Maiden.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we'll call it, mate. The reverse Iron Maiden armor set. So he's going full circle, man. He found the creature in the River Wear. He left it, and now he's returning to the River Wear. He's returning full circle. And this is it, guys. This is it. So the wise person, before he heads out to the river, offers an ultimatum in regards to the possible worm's defeat. She said that John, after killing the worm, must then kill the first living thing he sees, or else his entire family will be cursed for 9 generations, and none of them will ever die warm in their beds. Which is nice. So John prepared his armor, reverse Iron Maiden, according to the wise person's instructions, prayed for the power to vanquish the worm, and then went for one last visit to see his daddy. He's doing a lot of, like when you do all the...
We've hit like third act of the film.
Yeah, third act. Get all your side quests out of the way and prepare for the final showdown. So when John finally met his father in the castle, quote-unquote castle, I'm just imagining like a medieval castle made out of just straw. It's not even really a castle, he's just made it in the shape of one. But John arranged with his father that when he's killed the worm, he will sound his hunting horn thrice. On receiving the signal, his father is to release his favourite dog so that when it will run to John, he can then kill it and avoid the curse. But
Why?
Yeah, exactly.
What a sadistic bastard.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, why not send your least favourite dog instead? Why the favourite? The old wise person didn't say any... Oh, the old
just release like something, like whatever you value the least.
Like a chicken.
Like if something's got to die, it might as well be the thing that no one's going to be that upset about. Like,
I mean, obviously, yeah, I wouldn't want to kill anything like after killing one, but like maybe put like a bug in a cage and then just like stomp on the cage when you're done. Just turn around, and be like done. Curse broken.
Dad, your favourite dog.
Yeah. Yeah, why favourite? Like, why not least favourite dog? Because I want to say here, the old wise person didn't once say it's got to be your favourite pet. It said first.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be something of massive value. You know, you could just walk over to the next town and just stab the first person you see.
Be like, sorry, mate, breaking a curse. Cheers.
Yeah, gotta do this. Okay, so John's a sadistic bastard. Got it.
Oh, yeah, something's not right with this family, are they? They're all a bit unhinged. So John Lambton then confronts the worm at the river, where it spent days wrapped around a great rock. Immediately, the worm unravels at a frightening speed and shoots itself towards John, instantly constricting him.
Oh no.
As the life was being squeezed out of him, the armor-mounted spears began to do their work, began to pierce and slice into the chunks of the creature. As the creature began to flail whilst continuously trying to crush him, chunks of the worm began to rip and tear off. As John slashed and flailed himself on the beast, the chunks fell into the river and washed away before the worm had a chance to reattach into its body. With the worm completely flayed and weakened to the brink of death, John dealt a killing blow, decapitated the worm, killing it, the body and its remaining pieces flowing away into the River Wear. Killed it, mate. Done it.
I like his armor. I feel like, you know, when restrictions get lifted and people think it's okay to hug me, that's the sort of thing I'd quite like to wear. To be like, no, my bubble. This is my space. Like,
you don't want to get Lambton Worm to do you. Stay away from me. Yeah. So,
also, question.
Yes.
How do you cut off a head of something that is like all neck?
Well, I'm guessing it was constricted him, wasn't it? It was wrapped around him, so I'm guessing he flailed. The creature kind of, got tore apart. It got weakened, obviously, because it couldn't, recover.
The chunks stabbed repeatedly.
Yeah, the chunks of its body had flown away, so it couldn't reattach them. Because it has to have it doesn't just grow the flesh back. It physically has to have the chunks of flesh near it.
Oh, it's like you put it into like a puzzle, and it just seals itself shut.
It's the puzzled worm. Yeah, he cut it apart to the point where it couldn't physically reattach itself. So I'm guessing it either lost a lot of its body mass, or it's obviously quite weakened, so its head was kind of low, and he just went clean off, and that's that.
I know what you're saying, June, and I get what you're saying. How far away from the face do you have to
it's
down?
like, where does the head end and the neck begin?
You two today, honestly, what is wrong with you? Listen, it's just it's a big snake, okay? It's just basically a big snake. And
that doesn't help the situation. Snakes are also all neck.
Right. Well, I'm guessing he just did it just below the neck. I wasn't there. I'm just basing on what sources I have, man. If you want, travel back to the Crusades and find out for yourself. That goes for you too, listeners, all right? Stop asking me questions about where the worm's neck is. If you look at pictures of serpents, actually, though, you can see there is an obvious correlation between the neck and actually where the body starts. If you look at it, it's actually quite obvious. It's basically because they usually got spiky heads, haven't they? And they've got like little horns. So I'm guessing you just kind of cut at the neck crease. That's what I'd do. So yeah, okay, That's
Yeah,
that. Okay. Are you happy with that, Julian?
It's satisfactory.
All right. We'll move on. So with the worm dead, John sounds his horn and awaits his family's favourite dog. Seriously, why? Unfortunately for him, though, John's father is so excited about the beast being slain that he forgets to release the hound and rushes out to congratulate his son.
Well, you need that twist at the very end.
What a tool.
He would have seen that coming.
But will John do it? Because he's been making the wrong decision every single time so far.
Exactly.
So, will he do it?
Right, let's get some bets in, lads. Come on, get your bets in.
I reckon John's going to kill his dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. John cannot bear to kill his father.
Oh, fuck.
And so the hound is released anyway and killed. But
What,
since
after he's seen his dad?
Yeah. But
That's
since
like,
John,
that's not. He's just killed a dog for no reason.
yeah. But since John's father was the first living thing he saw, and since he'd failed to kill his own father, 9 generations of the Lambtons family are now cursed. They shall not die peacefully.
They were given fair warning. What if they die peacefully and warm on their sofa?
Yes. No, not they won't have a deathbed basically, or they won't die comfortable.
They won't die in the sleep.
I'm just.
Oh yeah, probably they might die in the sleep cold. Yeah.
I'm baffled. I'm baffled. John has got to be one of the dumbest figures in folklore I've ever seen. Because it's literally the wise man / woman, depending on what story we're telling.
Old wise person.
Okay. Wise person. They said very, very specifically, the first living thing you see after you kill the worm, you will have to kill that, or you'll be cursed. So he sees his dad. And then after he sees his dad, the dog turns up. Obviously, the dog's not the first living thing he's seen.
The dog doesn't turn up. The dad turns up and he's like, "Oh, you're right, son. I'll just call the dog out so you can quickly kill it." You know what I mean? And then he kills the dog anyway.
Yeah, and then he kills the dog.
Irresponsible.
John's stressing me out, I'll be honest.
Because humans are flawed beings, and they cannot do what needs to be done. Well, not most of them anyway. So that's the end of the Lambton Worm story, but now we've got a brief little bit about the Lambton Curse. Are you fellas ready for this? You better be. So, the curse was very much a real thing. John genuinely dropped the ball on this one. He really did. The curse has affected at least 3 generations that are recorded, which in turn has contributed to the popularity of the story of the worm. So,
I like that.
The generations we do know that have been affected are as such. So, first generation was Robert Lambton, who drowned at Newrig. Second generation was a Sir William Lambton, a colonel of foot, who was killed at Marston Moor. Third was William Lambton again, who died in the battle at Wakefield. And then we skip forward a few generations to the 9th generation. Henry Lambton died in a carriage crossing, Lambton Bridge, on 26th of June, 1761.
Hang on a minute.
Here we go.
You know when we skip a few generations?
Did they all die
Did they
peacefully?
go, no, that don't count.
Well, either it was either the curse was just so terrible to talk about, or they literally did just die normally, and they were like, "Nah, mate, that's not
In
the
a
curse."
warm bed.
To be fair, there's lots of issues with recording things around that sort of time period.
However, as well, we jump to the 19th century. After the tragic deaths of his first wife and several of his children, John George Lambton, an MP in 1812, died at the age of 48 and was buried in the family vault at Chester-le Street. So I guess because if the 9th generation truly was Henry Lambton, it's skipped to a 10th generation. So maybe they just got a lot of bad luck, that family, and they just blame it on this worm.
Normally, you don't hear about the cursed family that that goes on forever and ever. So I do quite like that that's been somewhat recorded.
Yeah,
it's still cool. Knocking about. Lambton family.
Yeah, is there a Lambton out now?
I mean, I haven't been in contact with them, but I don't see why they wouldn't be.
If you're a listener and your surname is Lambton, and you potentially will be related to the idiot that was John Lambton,
or you live in County Durham / Sunderland,
or you live in County Durham or Sunderland, come get in contact then.
Get in contact with us, and you'll have our contact details very soon on this episode. So keep listening. So yeah, that was basically the curse. That was it, and that's the end of the Lambton Worm story. But there is still, because the Northeast is obviously, like a lot of the countries, awash with folk stories, songs, and lore, which hark back to a murkier time, place in the past, usually beyond being recorded. But there actually is a surviving account of a dragon in County Durham that comes from the St. Nicholas Church in Durham City, where the parish register for 1569 recorded something. It's called
St. Nicholas Church.
Yeah. So apparently
Santa's Church.
Yeah. Father Christmas himself had it out with the worm. But it's funny because this is called the Italian worm sighting. And it's written in kind of Old English, so you'll have to bear with me. So I'm going to read it as normal or modern as possible. So this was recorded in 1569. A certain Italian brought into the city of Durham on the 11th day of June, year Abou-Said, a very great, strange, and monstrous serpent in length. So basically, an Italian man on the 11th of June brought a worm to Durham.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Said
the creature
is just said. I think.
Said, yeah. I think you're right.
Was it thumb sized?
Oh, it was 16 feet. It's recorded, actually.
16-foot thumb!
Yeah. 16-foot thumb. In quantity of dimensions greater than a great horse, which was taken and killed by special police in Ethiopia within the Turks' dominions. But before it was killed, it had devoured, as it is credibly thought, more than 1,000 persons and also destroyed a whole country.
1,000 people.
And also destroyed a whole country. That's just thrown in at the end. And also destroyed a whole country. Okay.
And what were this
What the
place
fuck
doing
is a
with
special
it?
police?
Just parading it around?
I don't know, because it says
Killed.
it was killed, doesn't it? It says, but before it was killed, it had done all this. So I'm guessing he brought the story of it with him rather than the actual thing. It's written as if he actually brought it with him, but
Yeah.
I think he actually just brought the story with him.
No, yeah, I think, he's just telling them. Like,
He's just a tall tale guy. He doesn't know what
So,
he's talking
the
about.
Italian worm killed people in Ethiopia. What the fuck is a special police?
It's spelled special policey. Special policey.
That sounds grossly un-PC. Like,
When was this? What year was this?
1569 it was recorded.
special police.
So yeah.
I'm going to have to Google that after this episode now. I'm going to have to figure out what the special
Whole
police
episode on the special policey from Ethiopia. See what their deal is.
In
But yeah,
1500.
1569, mate. Living life. So that is the tale of the Lambton Worm that we've got for you today. I hope you two enjoyed it, and I hope listeners enjoyed it as well. Right then, so any questions? Any questions?
I think I got them all out by interrupting you and just
Are you sure?
talking over you. Yeah.
That's how we do it, man.
That is how
do it.
it
So,
works, to be fair. We've
just
done
wanna-
a number of
yeah.
episodes now like that.
Exactly, mate. If you don't like it, mate, just please listen. So I want to thank a few sources. I want to thank Joshua Rago. I want to also thank the records of early English drama from the Northeast, Icy Sedgwick, and also the Lambton Worm pub on Chester Lee Street as well. Thanks to those guys for providing some information. It's brilliant, guys. That's the story of the Lambton Worm. And it's, you know what? Obviously researching, I was like, this is great, but having your guys' opinions on it, even better. He would have thought simple dragon/worm would be compared to a 3-foot thumb. Beautiful. Just beautiful.
Marvels, Mysteries and Midlanders.
So now we are going to give the reins over to Lewis Carter for his thing of the week. What do you have for us? What have you got?
Thing of the week. I've got another. It's facts. The thing of the week. Aren't they really?
Fact of the week.
Yeah, fact of the week. Lewis's thingy fact of the week.
But I'm going to keep it open in case I change my mind and don't want to do facts for a particular week.
Okay, that's fine. That's why it's the thing of the week, man. You don't want to shoehole yourself. You just
Exactly, yeah.
choose whatever you... It's your section, mate. You can do literally
Shoehole.
whatever you want. Shoehole, I don't know where that come from. Shoehorn?
You said
Shoehorn.
I think it's shoehorn. I was
Shoehole.
I'm going to shoehole myself.
Shoehole yourself, mate. Yeah.
So my fact thing, whatever for this week. is,
Whatever for the week. He really cares
Whatever.
about his segment.
Whatever.
For the week.
Right, yeah, whatever. Cool. Right.
I do really care about this particular fact.
Okay.
and it's about vulture bees. Have you ever heard of a vulture
What?
bee?
I have never heard of a vulture bee.
Is it
Or
like...
a carrion bee, also known as a carrion bee?
No, did they...
I'm assuming they're scavengers and eat dead things.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Do they have, like, the body of a bee but the head of a vulture? So, like...
That would be horrifying.
No, they don't.
Okay.
But yeah, it would
That's
be
my
awesome, I think. Yeah, so a vulture bee, you bang on the money.
Okay.
They eat meat instead of pollen.
Oh.
And then with that meat, they make honey out of it.
Wow,
So they do that.
Meat
That
honey.
is disgusting.
Yeah.
I would not eat meat-based honey. That just sounds...
Is that cannibalism if it was off a human? I guess in a way it is, because it's a human byproduct, right?
Well, yeah,
Wow,
but most human societies don't just leave their dead out to be sort of...
Oh, you'd
Eaten
be
by
wrong
scavengers.
there, Junan. You'd be wrong there. Yeah,
A majority, I would say.
majority.
But isn't that the same as wasps? Aren't wasps also, like, sort of
Yeah, I see them eating chicken and barbecues
scavengery?
and stuff. Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've seen a wasp swoop down on a table in front of me when I've eaten outside, and they've, like, nicked a bit
That's
of
a good
meat
point.
that's been...
Yeah.
That
They
is...
like the sugar, don't they, the wasps?
Yeah.
So they eat rotten meat and they store it in a special stomach compartment, and then they return to the hive. And in the hive, the meat is regurgitated and processed by a worker bee, which then makes it into honey. But I did do a bit of research to see if you could buy this honey.
meat honey,
no.
meaty honey.
But unfortunately you can't, because
is it
it's not
illegal?
like honeybees. They don't make more than they need. They just make enough for themselves. So there's no vulture bee honey to go around.
Oh, I have to
I'm okay with
hunt
that.
for
I think.
ourselves.
Yeah.
I
Would
want
you
to
try it if it was available?
I
No.
probably
would.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't enjoy it, I don't think.
Yeah. You'd be like the whole time, but you'd still be like, well,
I
I've
would
tried
try
meat honey.
most things, for sure. But if it's made out of, like, rotting, sun-baked,
Yeah.
slightly
Sunbaked.
gone off meat, like, that does sound like salmonella.
Stop selling it to me, June.
Like a sun-dried tomato, but it's actually like
Yeah.
a deer carcass.
Yeah, but I guess
Yeah.
the processing of it into honey probably removes all form of dangerous bacteria to a human.
I mean, honey's just vomit,
Presumably.
isn't it? Really. That is the gist of how honey is made.
Now you've said that. Lewis, where can you find these
Yeah.
carriers?
Are they local?
Yeah.
South America.
Oh, okay.
So-
I had like Africa in my head. I was thinking like African.
Yeah, I
Fair
thought
play.
it was similar.
Fair play.
But so these bees we knew about. They knew about them for 2 centuries. So they've seen this bee and they thought, "Oh yeah, this bee exists. Let's get this in our records." But it wasn't until 1982 that they found out that they did this.
Really?
Yeah,
Fair enough.
They just assumed it was like, I'm sure it's probably
Just a normal
pollen.
bee.
Yeah. It's like, hang on, that bee's
Yeah.
that bee's carrying off a bird.
Well, again, Lewis, as always, you've educated me. Have you got
That
anything
is
else
that's
on the topic?
yeah, that's a really cool fact.
Yeah, it's cool. I like that.
I'm stuck on this a bit, you know, because the core difference between bees and wasps is bees are pollinators and wasps are scavengers, right? So if you've got a bee that is also a scavenger and not a pollinator, then
Pollinator.
at what point does it stop being a bee and start being a
Yeah.
wasp?
It definitely looks like a bee. I don't know if you want to Google. What
I'm
they
gonna-
look
I'm gonna
like,
do a
but
quick-
It's definitely a bee shape and size.
They're just like really.
Oh my god, they are fucking hideous. Sorry,
They're aggressive looking bees, man.
he's covered in spikes.
But they're stingless, so they're not
Oh,
going to do
that's
you no
good.
harm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
They look worse than
Try-
they are.
is their scientific name the Trigona necrophagia? Because that is metal as fuck.
necrophage.
Oh, the honey is produced from nectar and isn't poisonous, but will likely not taste very good.
Oh, I bet it's quite bitter. I've heard rotten flesh is...
Well, you know there's going to be some sort of Bear Grylls-esque figure who's just been out in the wild and has gone, I'll have some of that.
I'm here, and today I'm going to try carrion bee honey. It's very bitter, but I'm still alive. Something like that, yeah. That's brilliant, though. Brilliant.
Oh
Lewis.
my god. Sorry, I'm gone down the Google rabbit hole now. It's like, apparently they let out a pheromone that tells all their pals, like, I've found a dead one. And the bees just swarm and just start, like, tearing at it like some sort of disgusting feast.
And with that image in our heads, I think it's time to call it an end here, fellas. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for listening to me waffle on about folklore, as always. And Juden, thank you so much for your thoughts and opinions. And Lewis, thank you so much for yours as well, and for your thing of the week. I'm educated, and I feel very blessed to have, been given that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Before we go, quick little social media plug. If you want to contact us via email, send us any weird stories or experiences you've had, or even maybe some recommendations on what you want us to cover, you can contact us at marvels.mysteries@gmail.com. That's marvels.mysteries@gmail.com. And if you want to follow us on Instagram and see all our latest news that we usually post on there, you can find us at Midlanders. That's Midlanders or Idlanders. That's about it, isn't it? Yeah, that's about it. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys. Have a great week, and we'll speak to you next time. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, June. Bye-bye.
Bye. We had to end the Zoom call. So if you're listening to this, James, while you're editing, remove this bit, because this is just me starting up the Zoom call again.